This is Things Police See, First-Hand Accounts, with your host, Steve Gould.
Hey guys, welcome to the podcast that interviews active and retired police officers about their most intense, bizarre, and sometimes humorous moments on the job. I'm Steve Gould. Thanks for joining us, everybody. Thanks for coming by. This is going to be episode number 91, the big 91. We're actually, for the podcast total, we're approaching, I think we're over total downloads since the podcast started is it's over 500,000. I think it's up to 650,000 or something like that, which is, I saw that number the other day and I was like, holy crap, that's pretty awesome. So thank you for listening. Thank you for the continued support from everybody. Thank you for the rating and reviewing. We're well over 500 reviews on iTunes now, which helps the podcast get out there and helps people get eyes on it, whatever formulas they're doing. I'm just coming off having COVID. I finally caught it. I'm assuming it was the lesser one. Still wasn't very strange illness. It was like, first of all, it's weird because you have the thing. Like you have the thing everybody's been talking about for 2 years. So you're like, oh, I have like the plague. What's it going to do to me? Is it going to kill me? That's in the back of your head. You're reasoning that you'll probably be fine, but it's always in the back of your head. Like, what is this thing? So I don't know. I was like, I feel like I had a flu for like 5 days. I just felt like I kind of had like that headache that's kind of in your eyes, little sore throat. Wasn't too bad. And the weird thing they're doing now is you can go back to work 5 days from when your symptoms start, or a positive test. I don't know which one, either or. And then after 5 days staying home, you can just go back to work. Even if you're positive, you can go back and you just have to wear a mask when you're around people, which a little different than all the lockdowns I recall. You know what I mean? It's like, wow, that's I guess they're not so worried then if you're literally like, I still test positive, but I can just go back to work. So that's kind of weird to me, but yeah, I made it through, beat it. No big deal so far. Hopefully I don't get it again. I don't know if you can actually get it again or if that's true or not. I hear that you can. Yeah, but let me move on here. Let me move on to thanking the monthly donors. Here we go. Oh yeah. It's nice. I like that. Tony Fahey, Corey Payne, Jacob Ruth, Rich Emery, William James Long Investigations, Samantha East, Gary Steiner, Richard Wilson, Scott O'Donnell, David Diaz, Timothy Wright. Thank you. I can honestly say I love you guys. I'm in love with you guys. Thank you for donating monthly. Thank you for keeping the lights on over here. If you could, next month, send primers, small pistol primers or large pistol primers instead of money, because I can't get those. And I like to reload ammunition, and that's kind of tough right now. I think other kind of, people that reload their own ammo and stockpile food, kind of like all the other prepper psychopaths know what I mean. If I don't have 20,000 rounds in my safe, am I even a man? So send primers, small, large, magnum, whatever you got, send them to me. Without further ado, guys, let's get to this interview. This interview, episode 91. We have another, actually one of the more popular episodes I ever had was with a Norcal deputy sheriff. And here we are again with a Norcal deputy sheriff. I guess these guys are popular. He reached out. He's a fan of the show. He's going to remain somewhat anonymous. We're not going to use his real name. We're going to call him Paul. Call him Paul, and he's from Tehama County, California, and actually has one of the top 5 most violent cities in California. So his jurisdiction is got some stuff going on. He was a military vet. He is a military vet. He was a wildland firefighter, and now he's a deputy sheriff there in Tehama County. So without further ado, let me get him in from the green room. Beep boop. Paul.
What's up?
What's up, brother? Thanks for coming on the show, man.
I appreciate you having me. It's an honor. It's an awesome show. I really appreciate what you're doing for everybody. It's cool to hear everybody's stories, and I think it's important to hear everybody's stories. So,
oh, thanks, man. Cool. Yeah, I love I mean, it's like a total douche. I love the podcast too, not because of me, but because of it ended up building this library of stories of all you guys, what you experience across the country. It's neat. And like one of my favorite emails to get is from people who are like on the periphery, like they're not cops. They're just like, it gave them like a window into what you do. And they're like, wow, that is like totally nuts. I could never do that. Or that would like, I'd be in therapy for like 6 months if I had to do what that guy did. So it's, that is kind of the goal to bring it to the masses and have people just appreciate it. I mean, it's just, I'm back in law enforcement now and the salaries are so bad. Like it's so bad.
You don't got to tell me I think we might be either the third or fourth lowest paid county in the state.
Yeah. It's so, insane, man. Like I worked for that private insurance company for a while and it was great. Take home car, paid for my internet, could use a car personal use. My boss was awesome. I had no supervision. They were just like, go into Southern California and do your thing and send the reports. Great salary, 40 hours. That's it. And back in law enforcement, we do it because we do love it. We love the job of being a cop, and it's a special job. Not everybody does it, but it's like it's even more enraging when you come from the private sector. Then you go back into police work, and they're like super cheap with everything. The equipment sucks. Like there's no money. They don't want to. You can get spit on, bit, push, shoved, whatever. It's exposed to all kinds of diseases, and if you leave, they're like, they'll take the next hot body to replace you. And you're going to, they're like my wife and I, Paul, we'd love to move to a more conservative part of the country.
Right.
Like Tennessee.
Yeah, who wouldn't right now?
Like Tennessee or something like that. Dude, have you seen what those guys make? Like the South Midwest guys?
It ain't nothing.
Dude,
it's yeah.
Starting.
We complain about it here in California, but
I know.
I mean, what is it, like 15 an hour maybe or something in those states like that?
Yeah, starting's like 32,000.
Yeah, that's insane.
That's a patrolman, and they're like
that's insane.
These Southern boys too. There's some straight up violence down there. Everybody's got a gun. And then they're like, for me, because I could lateral in with like 14 years or whatever I have, and they're like, well, with a lateral you could get up to 42, and I was like, make that in overtime usually, it's like,
yeah, no kidding. Right.
So, yeah, it's tough, brother. It's tough out there, but thank you for doing the job, man. And, California, being a cop anywhere in California is no joke. One thing I noticed about California when we moved there is there's no real small town feel anywhere. It's like every small town is like 30,000 people coming in and out of it daily. It's like, unless you're out in the high desert or way out, it feels overpopulated everywhere. Maybe NorCal's a little bit better. I
mean, yeah, Red Bluff's about, 15,000 people. But I mean, you have the I-5 there. So we get like, I want to say, I don't know, maybe a month ago now, we had some crazy guy from Oregon drive down and active shooter at our hospital, go hijacked some lady, made her drive at gunpoint, shooting out the window at us, at the other deputies. And he's some senator's kid from Oregon. That's the stuff you get with the I-5, I feel like. And of all places is Red Bluff. I mean, you come there, we're understaffed, underfunded. And it's like, and just the week before that, we actually had one of our, we're allowed to cuss on here, right?
Yeah. Let it rip.
One of our usual shitheads, he ended up stealing a semi truck earlier in the morning.
Nice.
CHP picks him up. I'm literally just starting work. Like I was working noon to midnight and hadn't even gone on the clock yet. And all I hear is code 33, which is, lock it up, no radio traffic pretty much. And see, he just rammed a CHP. So we get in this high speed pursuit with this guy in a semi. He's, trying to ram us. It goes through the city. He, bails out of the semi, hops in another pickup truck, and gets on I-5, and he's driving southbound in the northbound lane. And finally, thankfully, nobody was hurt besides him. But I mean, it's like this weird little vortex that we work in. I just don't understand it. I never would have thought when I started working here that it would be like this, but I mean, maybe it's just California. I don't know.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, yeah. You were born and raised in California?
Yeah.
Yeah. There's a lot. I mean, I think you're probably blind to it, but there's a ton of crazy people there. Like my wife and I came from a small town in New England, which is, there's crazy ass liberal people here, but just you have from liberal crazy to just straight up crazy in California everywhere. It seems like, but it sounds like that place is crazy, man. I mean, I remember I met a couple guys from Northern California when I moved to LA, and they were like country boys, man. They had big beards and flannels, and they were like, hey, man, you should come up north. It's great up there. And I know there are places up north that are like New Hampshire or Maine, like they're woodsy little places. But
I mean, that's what it's like. I mean, I used to get this when I was in the military. People would always ask me if I surfed. I'm like, no, dude, wrong part of California. We snowboard where I'm from in California.
Yeah.
Like we're way up north. I mean, the Shasta Trinity Forest is, I think, one of the largest forests in the nation. So, I mean, it's a lot different. There's a lot of good people up here, but it's starting to become a lot like the rest of California just because of the laws and stuff that are in place now. I mean, it's unfortunate, but I mean, if I was going to raise my family in California, it's definitely going to be somewhere up north. Yeah.
I don't blame. I mean, what about for you? Like someplace like, I mean, this might be over and done with by now, but like Coeur d'Alene or like Northern Idaho, I think a lot of California cops are like looking at that and going, I can be on a medium-sized apartment in Idaho and, be surrounded by everything I like.
I actually, I really love, this probably sounds weird. I really love Utah. When I was in the Forest Service, I fell in love with Utah.
Really?
Because we got to go to fires there, and I really liked the Spanish Fork area and Payson. I really liked those two areas, and we've thought about it, but we got young kids and all our families here, so maybe when the kids are off to college, we'll leave. But like I said, I really enjoy. Money's not everything. I really enjoy where I'm working. It's fun. We have a lot of fun.
That's great, man. Hey, then that's where you need to be. That's excellent. And God bless you. And thank God there's men and women like you that want to do it. That's, if you're having a good time, you like where you work, why leave? That's awesome. So Paul, can you tell us about your first intense moment on the job, your first hot call?
All right. Well, I think this is kind of a two-parter, but and believe it or not, both of them happened when I was on training. And I don't know if it happened like that because it was, you kind of just get numb to it after a while and it was your first thing. But so we get this call. We're just out patrolling, cruising the county. It's day. It's probably 2:00 in the afternoon, and get this call, active shooter, Rancho Tehama. They blurred out the address. I'm like,
damn,
still a trainer. I'm still on training. So I'm like, oh shit, your blood pressure spikes, so you're freaking out and you're like, oh man, I'm going to, this is crazy. So we're driving code 3 there. And, I kind of look over at my trainer, and like, we're probably doing 100 plus miles an hour. And he's like, all I hear him is slow down, slow down, slow down, slow down. He's doing one of those.
Yeah.
And, we actually take this turn, and we come sliding around this turn. I took it way too hot. I was all jacked up. It's my first time ever being jacked up. Well, there was a car coming at us. Luckily, she was paying attention, or else we would have hit her. But so that was kind of like another thing. So now I'm all jacked up from that. Well, while we're en route, like, yeah. While we're en route there, dispatch comes over the radio, and the RP just recontacted, said his wife shot. So now we're like, here we go. So this is the first time things have really gotten like real for me. My FTO is sitting next to me. He's, taking the AR out of the rack and racking it and getting ready. We pull up. We got a good position on a hill. We're probably 200 meters away from this guy.
This is his residence?
It's not his residence. It's, well, I'll tell you here it is. I'll let you. It's kind of funny what it ended up being, because so we get this guy, we get there, we got eyes on him. We make announcements over the PA. You can hear it from a long ways away. He doesn't drop the gun. He gets in his Honda car and starts it. and starts driving towards us. So I'm scrambling back to the patrol car. I'm throwing out spikes on the road in case he tries to blow by us. There's, 15 cops there at this point. The whole county is there pretty much, with the exception of, the local PD. Cause Rancho is about, I don't know, a 30-minute drive. And it depends on where you go. It could be 45 minutes from the nearest town. So
wow.
It's, so he gets in his car and he's driving towards us, and, it was kind of the thing that I was like, oh, this is real. When I heard everybody's selector switch on their ARs go click, click, click all at the same time. And I was like, this is about to happen. Ended up, he pulls up, he tosses all the guns. I cuff him. We get him in the back of the car.
So all these cops there, you ended up being the guy that cuffed him. Yeah.
So that was my trainer, and I love him now. He's a great guy. He treats me with nothing but respect. He doesn't, he's great. He was fun. I had a blast with him. My trainer was like, no, I want him doing it. He's cuffing. I want to see what he's made of, type of thing. Cause it could have just been me and him out there.
Get the cuffs out.
Yeah, exactly. Like, here we go. So everybody goes screaming over the house, and it ends up that luckily his wife wasn't shot. The house was just shot a couple times. But what it ended up being is we found, I don't know how many pounds of marijuana in his car. It ended up being a dope rip.
Really?
So, so that was like the first time I was like, man, this is real. And it seems like, 15 doesn't sound like a lot. If you work at a big agency, that's a lot for us. We go to calls by ourselves a lot of the time.
Yeah.
So,
dude, sheriffs are, you guys kind of get a taste of everything, but you definitely can be hung out there solo.
Yeah.
That's the national thing. Like every sheriff I've interviewed has been like, yeah, it was, I was going to back someone up and it was like a 40-minute drive to them. I was like, what? We just blue lighting it for 40 minutes. Be like, oh, I'm just sick of doing 120. It's like, holy crap, dude. That's insane. And it's funny too with these calls, and you learn, I know this is very early, but, you figure out that like the call comes in and it's a lot now in your career. You're probably like, oh, I wonder what's really going on with this call. Like when a call comes in, like there's a shooting or this or that, you assume, okay, probably a shooting, but maybe nothing like that at all. Maybe it's, something totally different because dispatch gets info from panicked people, from third parties, alarm companies.
It's a civil call.
Yeah. And they're just like, people are lying their asses off. And it's just like, you can show up and there can be nothing. And you're just like pumped out of your mind and you have to go back on patrol and like, nothing happened. It's bizarre.
Yeah.
Damn, man. Well, it looks like
it's funny because, we go through like these waves up here and it's super strange. Like my entire training, my second week on training, we had an attempted homicide where the guy we showed up, the guy got shot in the head and he was still alive. And we're like, what is happening right now? I'm thinking to myself, what is going on? It's pissing down rain right now. What are these people doing right now? It's my second week here. What is going on? And then, sometimes it's just nothing. Yeah. There's nothing going on.
Yeah, I totally get it. Wow, someone shot in the head and they're, were you thinking at all, like your first like month of field training, were you like, did you have any second thoughts? Like, man, if this pace keeps up, it's going to burn me out.
The only thing that I was worried about was it was going so fast is I was worried about when I would get to my own that there would be the simple calls and I'd be like, I don't know what to do here. I have no idea what to do. I've gone to the homicides. I've gone to the shootings. I've been in the pursuits, but I don't know how to.
I only do the high end calls.
Yeah. And I was like, it's like my last day before I was supposed to get off training. I got in 2 pursuits in the same night. And I'm like, why is this happening to me right now? I just want to make it off of training.
Damn. Yeah. That's the other thing too. You got to cross your T's and dot your I's and all this on the SOPs and everything.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's high stress, man. Was it the same now at this point, was it the same trainer or do you guys switch them every 3-4 weeks or something?
So yeah, we usually, depending on our staffing levels, we usually switch them every 4 weeks. So I'm in shadow phase and I'm in a pursuit by myself. So, I mean, my backup is still going to be my, shadow phase. He's in plain clothes, but he has his gun and his badge. That's still going to be my backup.
Right.
'Cause I'm by myself. So, I mean, I don't know. It's a crazy place to work. Love it.
Dude, if I was your field trainer, I'd be full pack. Forget about shadow phase. I'd have my everything on. Dude, that's great. Those are some intense first calls. Paul, can you describe a strange or bizarre thing that you've dealt with so far?
Yeah. So there's an area kind of in Cottonwood. It's on the Hooker Creek side. We had this RP. He kept calling and calling and calling, saying there was some kind of disturbance going on, but he wouldn't really tell us what. So we cruise over there, myself and my partner, and it's up this long dirt road, and he kept calling back like, hey, when are they going to get here? Hey, when are they going to get here? So my first thing is thinking, like, I'm already paranoid as it is. So I'm thinking, man, this guy's going to ambush us.
Yeah.
And my partner looks at me and she's like, let's get out of here. Let's go somewhere else. So we're like, yeah, we can't contact the RP. He's not picking his phone up anymore. So she's like, all right, I'm going to head out. I'm like, cool. So I kind of stay in the area and I'm trying to get eyes on this location. Well, I'm quite a good distance away, blacked out. This is night shift. So I'm trying to get eyes on this house to see if there's anybody there. Make sure that, nothing really is happening there, but at the same time, we're not about to walk into an ambush. And all I keep seeing is this shadow figure walking back and forth to this tree. So we have I had a little binoculars and I kind of, it's dark and I'm trying to get him out. Well, I keep seeing him walking back and forth and he's got these like buckets and I'm like, what is going on? So I ended up, I was like, hey, let me get this RP's phone number. I'm going to try and contact him. So I call a couple times, can't get a hold of him. So I just sit there and I just keep watching this black figure go back and forth. And I'm like, what is going on? Why is this guy calling us right now? Is he like walking body parts out of his house or something? Right. It's like, what's going on? So I actually end up getting a hold of him on the phone and he's like, yeah, he made something up about a disturbance with his neighbors about something. I'm like, okay, well, do you still need law enforcement? He's like, yeah. I'm like, okay, can you meet me outside? He's like, yeah, but my driveway is a long way, so I can only meet you at the top of the hill. I'm like, oh, of course.
You need to come deep into my lair.
Yeah, of course. So I end up going out there. I kind of park down at the end of the driveway and walk up so he can't really hear my car or anything. But when I walk up to the top, he's got buckets and it's full of like old food and he's feeding pigs. Ah. And I'm like, what is going on? So he ended up calling because his neighbor actually had shot one of his pigs that got on the property and it ended up being this civil dispute, this whole weird thing. And it was very strange how it occurred. But I was just like, the whole time I thought I was being walked into an ambush and I'm just paranoid. And all this guy wants is information on how to sue this guy civilly, essentially. Yeah. But it's I can't tell you how many times I've been to calls where it's been like, you can just feel the hair on the back of your neck stand up, and it's like, that was one of them. Yeah. Ended up being nothing.
The range of calls is amazing from, from shootings and drug busts and whatever else to like, a pig dispute. It's funny. It's just people don't realize the what cops go to from that call to like a terrifying, crazy call. That's. Yeah. I mean, I can remember when they a cop got killed or shot in the head because he was like using the sticks too in the South. He was leaving his station for the night, and someone had pulled a tree limb out in the road, so whoever went by would have to remove it. So they must have seen the cruiser coming, take home cars. He throws it out. He went out to move it and they shot him. And then I remember hearing that this was, years ago. 7-8 years ago, I was on the job on the Cape. And then that exact same thing happened to me. There's a tree limb in the middle of the road. And it's like, not a terrible area where I worked, but still you're like, this is odd. You know what I mean? It's like, I just heard about that guy. Now this tree limb's blocking the entire road right in my path. You just can't help but think, like you were saying, like people are, and it, cause you hear these stories nationally where cops get ambushed. That's kind of how they do it, you know?
Yeah. And it's, you know, it's everybody's same goal. We all got to go home at night. And the reason I was so paranoid is because the same thing I remember my sergeant just specifically talking about, he had the same thing and he got a call on the east side of Red Bluff. This guy kept calling, asking, hey, when's your deputy going to be here? And, you know, the sergeant's already at the location, but he's like, just let him know I'll be there in 30 minutes or whatever. And he actually catches the guy setting up an ambush, carrying guns back and forth. So, I mean, it's happened, but luckily he was like, I'll be 30 minutes. He was there already. So he caught the guy trying to set up, but it's happened. So
damn. And what do you catch a guy in his own property with guns? What do you charge him with? You know, it's like,
I mean, so I don't know. I feel like I didn't get the whole specifics to it, but I feel like at that point, it'd be hard to prove the intent and stuff like that, right? Unless he admitted to you, then I mean, it wouldn't be so hard. But
he's probably tweaked enough where you could detain him and he'd start saying stuff. Yeah,
or you could. They might not always be tweaks. They could. It might be a 5150 eval. You know,
right?
So I don't know what is your guys' 5150? Ours is, it's like, you know,
section 12.
Essentially someone's a danger to themselves or others, or they want to kill themselves type thing. So
yeah, it's like sometimes it's used as a catch-all because it's like, you know, you have that person that's like, you know, whacked out on something and like there's nobody's taking them. There's nowhere for them to go, but they can't stay where they are. And you're like, section 12 or 5150. You're going to the hospital. I mean, the hospitals hate it. They're like, oh, this friggin' person. They'd end up just kicking them out the front door. But
yeah,
you know,
I don't know. I mean, what are you supposed to do though? You can't.
I know.
You can't leave them.
I know. I work at a place where we don't have our own. We don't maintain and keep our own lockup, so we're like beggars whenever we have somebody. So it's like we have the county lockup, the sheriff's that we can drive someone to. It's like 25 minutes, half an hour away, or a neighboring department. But you're not going to bring some nutball, some tweaker to a neighboring department and be like, hey, here you go. You mind, you know, I'm going to go back to my jurisdiction. You mind watching this person for
Hey, the PD does that to us all the time.
Do they?
They're like, hey, would you like to voluntarily commit yourself to the mental health institution? And they're like, yeah, I'll go there. And then 20 minutes later, yeah, we need a 5150 eval at mental health. We're like, oh.
That's funny. Oh man, cops are the same everywhere. All right, brother. Can you tell me about the most intense or terrifying call you've been on so far?
Yeah. It's pretty gruesome. So I hope it's all right. So we've heard a lot of bad stuff, but we want it to be realistic. We get this call. It comes in as a attempted suicide. So anytime there's a suicide or attempted suicide, we always respond code 3. So lights and sirens all the way there. And first thing I do is I grab my med bag. You know, we're clearing the house. You know, at this point, you're clearing the house. You got to go in the house. The rest of the family's there. We're clearing the house, and you know, the family's screaming, he's in there, he's in there. And the last thing you want to end up doing is, you know, having to use lethal force on somebody. We didn't in this case, but we end up opening the door, and this, I'm not a kid, but he's I say kid, but he's like 21. We open the door and he has a fillet knife in his hand. And I don't know, you know how sharp fillet knives are.
Oh yeah.
I mean, he ends up, the way they explained it, there was something it almost seemed like he was, I don't want to say tweaking, but it seemed like he, you know, males in their mid-20s or whatever, they kind of hit that, and sometimes they'll, you know, get schizophrenia or something like that. And that's almost what it seemed like was going on, because the way his family explained it is he just snapped. In 1 week, he was terrified of everything. And
I've heard that males mid to late 20s is if you're going to have a giant anxiety problem, that's when it is, it births at that age.
Yeah. And so we end up going in there and, we're giving him orders, like we're trying to talk him, and he just puts the knife up to his neck. And I mean, he cuts clean back to his spine and cuts his head off pretty much. And
wow,
he's spurting blood out. And I mean, there's nothing I could do for you at that point, but
right.
I got his family standing right there, just screaming. So, I mean, we're in there, we're trying to do something for him. I mean, he's gone. There's nothing you can do. His head, as horrible as it sounded, it looked like a Pez dispenser.
Yeah.
That's exactly what it looked like. You could see all the way back to his spine.
Wow.
And, just interviewing the family, they were talking, they just didn't know. They said, he met some girl and he was talking about demons and stuff. And I was like, that doesn't sound like somebody doing drugs to me. That sounds like somebody had a serious mental breakdown in days. Like he was changing rooms back and forth each day because he was so afraid that somebody was going to get him when he was sleeping.
Wow. Yeah. Like a real psychotic break there.
Yeah. So that's one thing that you kind of get burned into your mind every once in a while. You don't see that too often. And as cops, you kind of just gotta I don't know. It's not funny, but you got to find a way to get over it or live with it.
Oh, absolutely. That's why, dark humor exists because of that in the police world. So he did this, man, it's amazing that someone could do that to themselves and cut that deeply with.
It was probably one of the craziest things I've ever seen. Like there's so much commitment that had to go into that.
I mean, right through the windpipe, everything.
That. The knife was so sharp, it went through everything.
Damn. I grew up on Cape Cod, so we had fillet knives all over the house, and they were, they're thin, flexible, and super sharp.
Yeah.
Damn, man. What do you do? So I would put like a beach towel over his neck, I guess, apply pressure and call EMS. But he's clearly dead, right?
Yeah.
So it's like, CPR is going to go out his neck and,
That's the thing is like, we put as much stuff over his neck as we could. And we provided aid for the family.
Sure. Right.
We know what's happening, but we're going to do to give that family some, I don't know if it's comfort or at least somebody's trying to do something, but
yeah,
just talking to them. Beautiful house, beautiful property, normal family. It could just happen to anybody.
Yeah. Yeah. That's nuts, man. I'm being a Christian man myself. It's, the world of demons and all that is very real to me. And I've heard from you guys more than a few stories like that, people not on drugs, not crazy at all, but referencing demons and then doing something like that to themselves. That's spooky stuff, man. That would bother me for a long time, my friend, for many different reasons.
Yeah. It's still, that's the part that bothers me the most is the fact that they reference stuff like that with it. And I'm not overly religious or anything like that, but I definitely believe there's a higher power and there's a God and stuff like that. And when you start talking about stuff like that, it's very real. As much as people don't want to think it is, it's very real. And that could have been one of those instances where it was very real.
Yeah. Well, I'd like you to kindly unshare that and pull it out of my brain, please. Is that possible? That was crazy, man. Damn. How long were people at this point? Was there rescue staging at least? So someone was close?
Yeah. So everybody, medical always stages for us if we get any kind of suicide or suicide attempt, or say it's, it just depends on the situation. But
they would take the 5150 rather than you guys usually?
Nope.
Oh, you guys transport?
Well, unless they need medical attention, but we always have to place the 5150 hold.
So you're in the back of the ambulance with them when they go? Yeah. Gotcha. So you're getting some quality time with that person no matter what.
Yeah.
Sweet. Damn, man. How many other officers are on the call with you?
2.
Just 2?
Yeah, 2. I think, for the family, you call a chaplain, of course, if they want one, which in this case, 1 showed up, and then I believe a detective showed up, and then a supervisor.
How about you guys? They give you guys, obviously you did a debriefing, but did they offer you counseling or anything like that? Or,
it's kind of one of those things where we work. It's everybody's, especially the guys who have stuck around and been there for so long. It's kind of one of those things like, we're still old school. Yeah. We're expected to power through that stuff. And I talk about it with, I have a buddy he's actually a deputy in Shasta County. But we talk about that stuff all the time. So, we know it's not good to hold that stuff in, but yeah, our department it's definitely, it's some of the toughest people. And I'm glad they work there, because there's not one person at the department that I work with that I would be scared they wouldn't have my back. So
it's the kind of place where they're like, oh, if your feelings are hurt, there's an 800 number on the wall for your emotions.
Yeah.
That's literally a poster in every state. Like if you're a first responder and you have a problem. I went to a call earlier in my career when, it was a bad fatal rollover, and this girl was badly mutilated, and we had like a debriefing, and I didn't go just because I had extra work planned. I had like a road detail, and everybody was like, yeah, you should go. It'd be good to see what a debriefing's like. And plus it was pretty bad. And you did and then from the scene, I went and did the death notification and everything. But I was like, 26, 27. I was like, nah, I got this. I want to go work overtime. I don't want to go to the debriefing. But now that I look back, I think we get, for me anyways, I see the value in it now. Like I probably would go now. I don't know if I'd be one of those guys that, shared or anything, but I'd probably sit there and like get some value from a debriefing.
So I am normal. Yeah. That type of thing.
Yes, exactly.
I'm just like everybody else type of thing. Yeah.
Yep. Absolutely. So obviously there's no shame in that, but I get the vibe of your agency. I know exactly, like you said, these guys are rough and tumble. So if you're going to a call, that's going to require fisticuffs, as they say, these are the men and women you want with you.
Absolutely. Like I said, we're pretty low paid compared to everybody else. And the people who have stuck around, there's a lot of people at that department that deserve more than they have been given, and they've stuck around the whole time and just endured the whole time. And my hat's off to them. They really deserve more than what they're getting.
And how big an agency is it? You said it was smaller.
Yeah, it's small. So I think right now we have 21 vacancies, but that's really low. I think we have 15 or 16 on patrol. So
in 20 openings?
21 openings. And then there's a couple frozen positions.
Wow.
So you're
just not getting the people.
We have a sergeant and then 3 patrol deputies per shift. And then there's one shift where we have a sergeant and 2 patrol deputies, and we're just short.
Damn. And would those open positions go to the jail, or would they go to patrol?
They're separate. I think there's the jail short too.
Right.
But they're separate. But we've actually, our admin's doing a great job right now at recruiting and then rewarding those people that have been working in the jail for, X amount of time by sending them through the academy and putting them on patrol. So our admin's working really hard right now. They're trying. It's kind of us against the board of supervisors, but I'll let somebody else who's more qualified to talk about that.
I hear you, brother. The police work's funny, isn't it? It's like we're down all these people. We're down 50%, and we need applicants, but they have to pass the most stringent background check ever to get on here. It's like it's a terrible fight. It's like then they're like we need these people. We need these positions filled immediately, but we're going to be super picky about it and take our time. So it's like,
Yeah.
meanwhile, people are retiring. It's like, it just, I saw that at LAPD a lot where it was like, you don't want to lower your standards. I mean, obviously you want the best of the best, but like sometimes when like managers would get like nitpicky on a candidate, you're like, really? Because we need freaking people on the road.
Yeah, no kidding.
This guy, he smoked pot so many times this many years ago. It's like, we need to let that go. Because, and then you have the other candidates who like saw a poster on public transit. And they're like, I want to make $60,000 a year. They come in and they're like, a total disaster. But damn, man, that's a lot of positions to be down.
Yeah. And, like I said, I mean, I tell people all the time, like we're in such a weak society now that, I mean, you got to be, I think being mentally tough is the most important thing, especially working where we do, because I mean, I had over 1,000 hours of overtime this last year. I mean, everybody's got to pitch in, and I mean, what are you going to do? I still have fun. I love it.
I know, man. You're so right. It's funny the way the different generations are. Like you said, like we need some men to step up here and do these jobs, because but what's that old meme? Like soft men make for bad times make for strong men make for good times, like that whole thing.
Yeah.
It's so true, dude. Like I was listening to some podcasts. I wish I could give it credit, but they were talking about the different generations and like their pluses and their minuses, like their what's good and what's bad. I mean, like millennials aren't all bad. There's like plenty of like very positive traits to that generation. But then the generations after that, they were kind of breaking it down, and they were breaking down like a meeting setting where like you have a meeting with the managers and then like the managers' bosses. And they're noticing that like the new generations will like speak up out of turn and say things and make suggestions to like the general manager. And like the managers are like, why don't you keep your mouth shut? You've been here like 6 months. It's like, It's like those kind of traits are where they've been empowered to like speak out on their own behalf, but it's almost detrimental where they're like, some of these guys from this podcast were saying the study they did, it was like a new trend is asking to go home because there's no work. Like, hey, remember you gave me a project I was team leader on? Well, I finished it. So I'd like to go home because there's no point in me being here. Unless you give me something I think is productive, then I'll stay. Who talks like that to their boss? But this is what's happening in like corporate America. Like that's how these generations are. So I don't think you're going to get any of those people to come be a Norcal deputy with you.
It's too hard. I mean, I actually went to the academy with a guy, and I mean, he quit. It was 3 weeks. He quit. It's not for the faint of heart. And it's like, I always make fun of, because my wife actually has some younger sisters, and one of them's still in high school. And I always look at her and I go, TikTok ain't going to win any wars. So,
right.
We might be in trouble, but I say the same. I'll be a 50-year-old man and be damned before I let this country go to shit. So
yeah, TikToking is not going to win any wars. That's true. And ironically invented by China. So
yeah, well, there you go.
Soon they'll be beating our ass.
Yeah.
See what they're doing over there? They're like outlawing like Nancy boys. They're like, oh, there's no more like acting effeminate if you're a man. You need to act like a man. Like the government has seen a trend and they're like, no, we need to have guys that can fight.
Meanwhile, I'm over here doing stop data. What do you think his gender was?
I know.
You know?
Yeah, I know. Man, unbelievable. Paul, great story so far. Totally insane. Probably have trouble sleeping tonight. Thank you for that. Can you tell us take us to a softer, kinder Paul, a positive situation if you have one? I don't know.
Yeah, a lot of people. So we kind of have this family. They're pretty well known for their extracurricular activities. However, I try to treat everybody fairly same, unless there's some people I've dealt with a dozen times now that I could care less about. But this family, they kind of have a son he's one of our locals that he's our frequent flyer. But he's got kids, and I mean, I've got kids, and I would probably say that that is my weakness for this job is I can't help because kids don't have a choice yet.
Yeah.
And so I end up finding him, and he's wanted for all kinds of assault with a deadly weapon. We end up hooking him and taking him to jail. And they end up going through the court process while I gave the mom, his mother, a contact info. So I just get this random email one day, and it's from his mom, and he's like, "Hey, so-and-so's, my granddaughter's not being taken care of. What can I do?" I said, where's your granddaughter at? Because like I said, the family is well known. They have a couple frequent flyers. However, they're not all bad people. So I end up locating the son, and it's her horrible living condition. We ended up Child Protective Services, the kid, and find out, come down the road later. Well, I ended up helping the grandma get full custody of the kid. And, I ended up seeing him. I was actually at court for a different case, and they were in there listening to sentencing for, their son. And I actually ended up seeing his girlfriend, his mom, and the kid there. And she's like, thank you so much for what you did. We couldn't have done it without your help. And then, his girlfriend tells me, "Hey, I'm sober, I'm clean, I'm off the dope now." And who knows how long she'll stay, but that's kind of, you want to help people. That's the point of the job. It's not all about chasing bad guys and driving fast.
Right.
But it was good. I really enjoy helping kids because they don't have a choice yet. So.
No, that's nice. You need that once in a while, don't you?
Yeah, you definitely need that once in a while to make it feel like, because 95, 99% of the job is, you're dealing with the same shitheads over and over again, and it's usually negative, but every once in a while when you get that positive thing going on, it's nice. That's
cool. That's cool, man. I hope you guys don't have that awkward moment when she's off the wagon and you're like, damn it.
Yeah. So the funny thing is the reason she got sober was because my partner initiated a pursuit, and we're chasing this car. Ends up being one of our frequent flyers, of course, driving. Well, she ends up being a passenger in the back seat, and I end up ripping her out of this car. And then, I'm cuffing her and I'm picking her up, and I'm like, oh shit, what the hell are you doing here? Why are you here? You don't belong with these people. You're going to ruin your life type of thing. And hopefully she never does, but we'll always be there to find them if they do.
Yeah, true. Well, that's awesome, man. That is cool. And it was at court you saw her?
Yeah.
That's nice. Everybody's always a little bit cleaned up too. It's like,
like
the neutral area,
Yeah.
That's cool, man. So one of the most popular questions we have on the show, real popular with new coppers, people even thinking about a career change, which we desperately need the numbers to come over with us, is advice.
We're hiring.
What's that?
We're hiring.
Exactly. Nationally. So advice for new police officers or candidates, what would you tell them?
Man, I would just say, work that extra shift, go out of the way, earn your keep for those new guys. This is, you see, I don't personally have social media, but a lot of people do. And you see all these, you're not doing this job for someone to pat you on the back. You have to be a selfless individual, double down on your weaknesses. If you suck at something on this job, you should try and do it more. If you suck at traffic stops, you should be asking those guys that have been doing it for 20 years, what can I do better? And then another thing I always tell everybody, slow is smooth, smooth is fast. Don't rush to everything. That's how you forget stuff. I am notorious for rushing through paperwork. And then my sergeant gets it and he's like, "Hey, you didn't check this box." I'm like, God, it's like my ADHD. I got to get back out there. I got to, do stuff. And just remember, if you want to do this job, that, it takes hard people to do this job now. It's everybody. Remember, not everybody hates you, but that's what's pushed in the narrative, and that's what you're going to hear a lot. But those people that call us, they need us. So
good advice, brother.
You just got to push on.
Smooth is fast. I had a sergeant in my first job that used to say it all the time. Smooth is fast. He was a firearms instructor, big shooter. But that is true, man. I've done that so many times. With how much paperwork comes with an arrest or an OUI or whatever, and it's just so many little pieces of paper, so many boxes, so many things to check. So many people have to sign different lines, and then for us, like the breath test operator has to sign, and you have to sign who do you make the refusal in front of, and it's just you just want it done, and you want to go back on the road. It's like this is not the fun part at all. But like you said, you put the arrest packet together, and then someone's going to go through it. Someone's going to read it, and they're going to have time to slowly go through it with their cup of coffee and be like, pick it apart and look at it. So I've been there myself, bro. I think one of my weaknesses is I don't know if it's a weakness. I'm not super good at like getting into cars. And I know a lot of guys aren't. Like a lot of guys aren't like super good drug dudes, but in the county I work in, there's a couple guys that are real good at it. And it's like, they're constantly like, I'm talking every shift getting into something. It's like, holy crap. Like they're like, see a track mark behind the earlobe, that gave me my training experience to ask these questions and then to go into the car. And it's like, you read the report. It's like the most beautiful thing I've ever read. It's like, wow, from that, it looked like she got her ear pierced the second time. You got into, 150 bags of heroin. It's like, damn, that's something I'm just not that great at. Do you get into a lot of cars where you are? Or you're probably too busy going to freaking crazy calls.
Night shift is where it's at. I'm currently on day shift, disappointingly, but night shift is where it's at. I have my current partner. We just got actually done shooting at the range. He's a great guy. He's been on quite some time longer than I have, but he's just done nothing to help me out. But there'll be nights where I'll tell you a little secret. It's after we get off, it's quite hilarious what we do. There's this specific part of our county. It is notorious for high-speed pursuits and stolen cars. But we know a lot of these people, and it's like, last time I stopped you had dope, so where's it at? And they're like, it's under my seat. And I'm like, oh my God, dude, like, come on.
Put up a little fight.
Yeah. Or you see their rattle canned car, like, dude, it's not a different car. You just rattle canned it black, dude. Yeah. Come on.
Yeah.
But there's a lot. We get into a lot of cars. I wouldn't say that I'm great at it or anything, but I love running traffic. My objective with running traffic is not to write citations. I can tell you that much.
Right. That's it. The motor vehicle stop leads to so many things. So many times, like we had a new guy at work riding with me recently, and because he was there, we were just hammering traffic, and we ended up getting AR numbers. They just popped up just from volume of pulling cars over, and then you're like, it's kind of a nice refresher to train somebody and be like, oh yeah, like this is motivating to do this.
Yeah, and for me just recently, you don't really realize how extensive that vehicle code violation book is. Like it is huge. And if you can remember a lot of that stuff, someone's committing a vehicle code violation every 5 seconds, but you got to be selective too. You can't just, for us, we know, you start to know there's so many people that we start to recognize. We have so many frequent flyers that I can drive by somebody and see them in the driver's seat. And as they're passing by the other way, I can turn my lights on. They have a cracked windshield or something, or something hanging from the rear view mirror, or they don't have a front license plate. I can turn my lights on and pass them and flip around and they'll just take off. They'll just go. They'll just try.
Clockwork.
And I've had people get away. We're in the county. We're in the rural county. And if I'm by myself, I ain't running after somebody. Yeah. So, they run a lot from us because, there's a good chance you might get away if we're by ourselves.
Yeah. It's going to be a big danger to the public for a small infraction.
Yeah.
Let them go, whatever. That's awesome, man. It sounds like fun where you work, actually.
I'm having so much fun, and I've got the opportunity to be trained fortunately by people who don't take themselves too serious, and they still try to have fun, and they teach you, and they care because, like I said, we're down so many. So the people training us really have to care about the department and where it goes. So I was really fortunate to have some really good trainers, some really good sergeants that helped me. So yeah.
That's awesome, brother. Hey man, those are awesome stories, brother. Thank you for coming on the podcast. Yeah,
I'm pumped. It was awesome being on.
That's cool. I can't wait to publish it so you can hear it, tell your buddies. You're probably not going to do the video portion, right? That's probably,
what's that?
Because I record video as well, but you probably don't want to put this on YouTube. Your face. It's up to you. You can think about it.
Can you like blur it out or something?
I don't know. Maybe I'm not very good.
How cool that would be. But
yeah, I might be able to. I'll let you know what I do. I won't put it up without telling you. The podcast is the major thing, and it's been good, man. So you're going to get a lot of ears on this, and there's a lot of California listeners. So that's cool. Maybe I'll get some more people coming on from over here. Tell your buddies.
Yeah. I mean, this area in California has got some superior law enforcement officers. They're truly doing great work, and they don't get any credit because where we are in California, everybody knows about the LAPD and stuff like that. But I mean, there's guys up here that I would take any day that would hold their own, that are great guys.
Awesome. Well, get them on this podcast, man. They're going to tell their stories.
I'll pass on the information.
Probably probably not going to want to come on like the stoic types, they'll come on and they'll just like tell. I've had people on before. I won't name names. Where I ask a question, they like finish it up in 2 sentences. And I'm like, kind of got to be a storyteller for the podcast.
Yeah. No, there's I gotta think. There's guys that I don't know. Go check it out when you get a chance today. Just type in active shooter on Walmart DC.
All right, let me write that down.
Police body cam. It's the Red Bluff Police Department. It just happened. I think it's probably a year old now. That's wild. You gotta check it out. It's wild.
Sounds crazy, man. A lot of active shooters happen at Walmart.
Yeah, I mean, well, it makes sense. I mean,
yeah, it does. Did you see the one in Texas where the guy in the wheelchair and the cop?
No, I think that was Arizona.
Oh, was it Arizona? And he shoots a guy with just pops him in the back a bunch of times. I was like, oh, whoa, because usually you hear the news and you're like, oh, obviously the cop's probably fine. This is just some BS. And then I watched the video and it was like, the guy's just like, maybe he had a knife. God. I don't know, but he's just like, bah, 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 right in the guy's back. I'm like, and he's in a wheelchair.
What?
Knocked the wheelchair over. Yeah. Damn.
Yeah, I was like, oh my God. But yeah, you got to watch that one. That's a crazy one. And we were just talking about it the other day. I mean, the sergeant that ended up, dispersing of the active shooter. I mean, it was crazy. Being him and showing as much restraint and control as he did. I mean, I was saying, if it was me, I probably would have been freaking out and mag dumped this dude. But yeah, I mean, he's a sergeant and he's been doing it forever. So, he gave commands and it was great. It was a great job.
Damn, man. I'm going to check it out. Awesome. All right, Paul, thank you for coming on, my man. Will you hang in the green room here when I wrap up the show?
Yeah.
Sounds good. All right, guys, that was episode number 91, another Norcal deputy. Crazy stories, man. California, crazy ass state. I lived there for 4 years, and I can tell you the people are nuts and the cops are tough. So thank goodness for that. Hopefully, California doesn't scare all their cops away to other places, because I don't know if California cops would even like it other places, because they're not going to get, well, maybe New York City, but the crazy in California is a very specific type of crazy. It's, as you've heard on all the podcasts that have Cali guys on. So thank you for coming on, Paul. That was awesome. Crazy ass stories. Thank you for all the donors, the raters, the reviewers. Thank you, everybody. I have a dream for this podcast that it becomes, and I've had the same dream for like 2 years since it's been out, but it becomes wildly popular and I can just quit my job and do this. Wouldn't that be cool? I swear to you, if somehow, I think we're like shadow banned, or like we don't come up in a lot of searches. It's all word of mouth, it seems like, because I know every single person that finds and hears the podcast loves hearing these guys and gals tell their stories. Like, they love it. They will listen to the entire catalog of interviews because they love it. But it doesn't seem to be out there, or that I don't think it's getting picked up by the algorithms or whatever. It's my excuses for not having enough listeners. But there's actually a fair amount of listeners, and I love all you guys. It's amazing. If somehow there's more donors or more popular, you guys share it with your friends, family, loved ones. I swear I would do an interview. I'd do like multiple a week. I'd be on my horse. I swear I will not let you down if I could quit my job and become a podcast mogul. That's all I want. It's not a big ask. Just get that done for me. All right, everybody. Till the next time.